lonely heart, troubled mind, looking for a way that we can never find. Many roads are ahead of us, with choices to be made.
Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network and the Kids for Love project and radio show. And if you're tuning in for the first time, we are a Boston-based, syndicated, fully producing internet radio station. So we produce live shows, videos, commercials, all the things that you would wonder if we do. And in addition, audiobooks. We produce, our team produces audiobooks. So if you'd like to learn more about us, go on to our site, dreamvisions7radio.com. And you can hear us globally. If you're wondering if you want to listen online, you can. Mobile, in the cars, you can ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Get our apps. So we are everywhere. It doesn't matter what country you're in. I was just looking, and there are people from Israel listening. So you just never know. And we're all about lifting and bringing love to everyone out there, and having, and my guest today will be one of them, giving you the tools to find joy in your everyday life and your families, bringing everyone together. And as we all know, I am a proponent of unity consciousness, love consciousness. So without further ado, my guest is Sally Huss. She is an author and illustrator of more than 100 books. And if you think you didn't hear that correctly, more than 100 books for children and adults. She's a former Wimbledon semifinalist, creator of Happy Musings, and a lifelong artist dedicated to bringing more happiness into the world. And she also has a YouTube channel. It's called The Happy Artist. So you check that out, and we'll be giving you more links later. She grew up in Bakersfield, California. She's 86 years old, and I just can't wait to talk with her of all her experiences. So without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor because I wasn't aware of the amazing person you are. But Elizabeth, you have written a few books with Elizabeth Hamilton Garino, and we've had her on the show focusing on her peace guidebook, and that's how we found each other.
Good. I'm glad we have.
Yes. So first of all, let's go back in time about tennis. Back in the day when you were playing tennis, there wasn't any prize money, if anything. What was that experience for you? And I know you were a young girl, but what was it like being a woman back then, a young woman at that?
Well, we were just as competitive as the people now, but there was no prize money in it, and so it's not like you had a career forever with tennis. Other than I did teach tennis after that, but I was about 10 years old when my father said, "How good do you want to be?" And I didn't know. I had no idea. I was just taking lessons, and he was working with me. And then he said, "Well, how about becoming a champion?" And I said, "Well, okay." And from then on, that's what we did, was focusing on being a tennis champion. But that seed that he planted of being a champion seemed to follow through in everything that I did after that, in every area, because I worked in film and I worked in television. I worked, in music and then a lot of different things. And so then I finally started in my art. I had a fine art degree from USC. So I finally started using that and writing. And I was never really trained as a writer, but I just wrote from inspiration.
Yes, and I read that I went to a Jack Canfield seminar, and it was from there that you started writing. Is that my understanding?
I didn't start writing there, but I did learn many things from being in that seminar. One of them, one thing was that I connected with people, and I did, there was one thing that happened in a meditation where there's a golden angel up on top of a mountain, and she has a box, and in that box she has a your life purpose. And she opens the box, and who wouldn't want to know that? What is your life purpose? So she opens the box, and out comes all these books. They keep falling and falling and falling. And so I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to write books. And so I began with children's books. I had a dream that said children were in trouble. And then children were lying on the side of this road. And I said, boy, that's really crazy. These children are in danger. And I said, why isn't somebody helping them? And I got out of the car, and I lifted a child, and I said, children are so easy to uplift. So then I knew the message was I was to write children's books. And so that's what I did for probably the last 10 years, and used my art background, even though I had never been trained in graphics or using a computer to draw on or those kinds of things. I just trained myself, and I began churning out and writing books and illustrating them. So I have a number of books. That's how I got to the books.
Yes, we would say a number of them. One of the books I want to mention is A Lesson for Every Child, learning about food allergies, which is actually one of the books you wrote with Elizabeth, because she has some serious life-threatening allergies. And for those that are listening, we give away 3 books a month, and your book was given away in June. So and it's a lovely book and illustrated, and the pictures are just fun and stunning. And the way that you're writing to the kids, I think, is excellent, because you're including, there's a lot of inclusivity with the different kids, so teaching them that, and hopefully sticking with it, because as you know, the kids are smarter than the adults. And teaching how that child can be special and everyone can learn from them, instead of thinking that there's something odd with that child. So I love the way you wrote the message. It hits home.
Yes, it was having the main little character who had food allergies to explain to the other kids in his class, because he was a new kid in the class, and to explain to the other children what it was about and how difficult it was in many cases. And it brought out their sympathy towards him, and they understood what he had to go through and how he had to live. And it was not something that was like a cold that he was going to get over, you know. So this was something that,
Right.
yeah. So that was, yeah. So Elizabeth shed a lot of light on that information. I just needed the information so that I could put it into a proper story, and that's how we did the book.
Yeah, excellent. And back to the tennis days, you mentioned about teaching, and you actually taught some Hollywood people you gave them tennis lessons, and then I also read that it incorporated Zen meditations. So you were awakened and aligned with the light and God and all of that at an earlier age. Tell us about that. How you incorporated Zen meditations.
Well, I didn't. I did some meditations, some Egyptian yoga meditations, but I was studying Zen and was around very wise people in Los Angeles when I lived there, and then I began to teach tennis, and I could see that it could be played in a very different way, and a very relaxed and flowing way. I did dance therapy with a great teacher there, and from that I could pass on to more creative people who loved it, you know, how to play very relaxed and how to throw the racket instead of muscle it, using muscle strength, and the fact that the ball is really just kind of like, it's just light, and so it's very airy, and instead of impacting the ball by throwing the racket through it, and it was a wonderful way to play, and so I taught a lot of interesting people, Barbara Streisand and Helen Reddy and Milos Forman and people like that. So
that's so exciting. And you really now, is that your the way that you're teaching or that you taught was your unique gift? Did you find that more as time went on, other people picked up your thoughts and ideas on how to incorporate all that?
No, I don't think so. Not from what I see in tournaments and stuff. There people go high and low in their emotions instead of realizing that the points come to you, and you don't have to go out and grab a point, And if you focused on the enjoyment of the movement, that was a different approach. And you enjoy the movement, and then you hit the ball at that instant. You threw the racket at that instant, and it always went in a better place than if you had thought it out. So it was kind of playing beyond rational thought. So I did a book on it for Harper Brace, and then I redid the book so I could incorporate those kind of ideas in,
Wow.
So I did a tennis book or two on that kind of tennis, and so it was fun. And then I transitioned that all into pickleball when I started playing pickleball. Yeah, I started teaching a little bit of pickleball, and I could do the same thing, very relaxed, barely hold the paddle. So
that's fun, and it works, and it's just a whole different vehicle to have an excellent tennis or pickleball exchange. So that's something. So I have to ask you, when you became known for being, a tennis player, was your father completely in awe of what you had accomplished at that moment?
Well, it was always, to become champion meant to win Wimbledon. And I won the juniors at Wimbledon. I won the U.S. juniors. But then in the next year, I was the semifinals in the women's. And I seemed to kind of changed my focus and my interest. Again, there was no income, not that I ever thought about money because I really didn't. But anyway, my coach and my father decided that maybe I should take a little time off and see if I wanted to go back and play more or not. And so I put down the rackets and I just played socially. And tennis is the most welcoming. It's very welcoming in certain circles, and so it opened a lot of doors for me. So I ended up working for Ralph Story, who was a television personality in LA, and then from there I ended up helping Sam Goldwyn when he was making a film, and I worked with his art director. I got to take the art director all over LA area, showing possible sites for, scenes in the movie. And so that was very interesting. He was an award-winning, Academy Award-winning art director, and to be with, top people was fantastic. And then at another time, I knew the fellow who was Paul Simon's lawyer, and they needed to bring his Charing Cross was his company, and they would bring it to Beverly Hills, and they needed somebody to run that, and so he hired me to do that, and I did that for a while. But then I started teaching Miss Zen tennis. I said, forget the music thing. This is more fun. So I did that. Taught in Malibu. I taught in Malibu in the Colony, and I taught in Beverly Hills. And I just roamed around and would show up, and people would pass my name, and I'd be there in the beach area, and so that was fun. That was fun. But then at a certain point, this dance therapist, and I had the privilege of being with some very wise people anybody who was spiritually elevated, let's say, came through that home. And I spent some time there, especially because I was so very thin at that point, and I needed some help physically. But that relationship and those people that I was around really changed my thinking and what I wanted to do. And so open to your soul. I can feel that at that time. Yeah. So then this wonderful doctor says, why don't you take a session with, what was her name? She was a well-known child psychologist, and she was in Pacific Palisades. And so I took a session with her and showed her some of my little art, my little stories that I had written long ago. And she said, you have such joy. She said, where's the man in your life? And oh my gosh, I just in love with life, And I thought, well, I had forgotten about that for quite a while. And so I said, on the way when I drove home, I created a whole formula for finding the man of my dreams. And I wrote it down, and I created this. I've now done the book, but my husband, many years later, anyway, he would say, when somebody would complain about not finding the right person, just give her the formula, and then those people will always get exactly what they ordered. And so, but I created this, and it's called How to Find Your Soulmate. I think it's How to Find Your Soulmate. And I finally did it. That's one of the first adult books that you wrote? Yes. Yeah, and, I was playing tennis in a national tournament with my friend. It was a senior tournament, and with my friend Mary McLean. And my husband said, give her the formula. And so I gave her the formula, and she could get back to me. And then she ended up with Ralph Wilson, who owned the Buffalo Bills. Wow. So, they had a wonderful life together. But, I did the formula, and very soon, within 2 years, and I just described exactly how I wanted to live and what we would do together. And I knew that if I were looking for him, he would be looking for me. Mm-hmm. And so it was a matter of connecting. And it took a little time, not very long. He was head of advertising and promotion for Hallmark cards and worked with Mr. Hall directly. And so he came out to California to buy a property for the Hallmark Hall of Fame. And I met him on a tennis court in Beverly Hills. So there you go.
Wow. And you were married for 50 years. 50
years. Yeah, he passed away in 2025. Yeah, 50 years.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a wonderful life. And we've had a son. And so anyway, it was really nice. We lived here and there and everywhere. But because of his Hallmark background, you see, he all of a sudden discovered that I could art. I was an artist, and I could even write these little inspirational thoughts. And so he put it all together. I was doing craft shows. I started trying to do craft shows and outdoor shows, and made a beautiful tent and the whole works. It was just so cute. And so he got behind it. He'd say, write a whole thing, write this, something for the mother and the daughter, and write for something for this, and write something. And we'd go on the beach, and I'd write all these things, and then do the art for them, put them together, and go do an art show. And then I had extra paint that I didn't want to waste, so I would paint a painting. And the paintings went into a gallery in Laguna. And finally he said, well, why don't we just open a gallery? And I was terrified. Open a gallery? You mean rent a space? And he was very brave, of course. And so in Laguna, we found a space, and he was in the gallery cleaning up the floor and everything before we opened. And it was in the evening, and he had a light on, and we had a big painting in the window. And somebody came in, and the rent for that little place was $1,800. And he sold that painting for $1,800. And I said, okay, I'm in.
Oh, that's so neat. That's so neat. Sally, well, we need to take our first break, and I want to hear more about that as well. So everyone stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. You can call in. The number here is 833-220-1200. Bob is in the house, and he'll put you right through to Sally and I. Again, 833-220-1200. Back in a moment.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowd-funded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back, and we are with Sally Moore Huss, a former American tennis player who grew up in Bakersfield, California. She has written and illustrated more than 100 books for children and adults. She's a former Wimbledon semifinalist, and she is everything you could possibly want in a person. She's experienced everything. Her site is Sally Huss, H as in happy, USS.com. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram. She is also on YouTube, as I mentioned. It's called The Happy Artist. And now, Sally, I wanted to ask you, so when you were doing the art, and actually you have a degree in fine arts, and you had for years 26 of your own licensed art galleries throughout the world, and you sold $1 million in art annually. I mean, that in itself, take away the tennis, that in itself is a phenomenal, not only a phenomenal experience, but you have accomplished so much. So pick up where you left off.
Yes, we opened up one gallery in Laguna on Coast Highway, and then we opened another one in Santa Monica on 3rd Street Promenade, and it kept growing. People would come in. We did another one in the desert, and we eventually owned 5 of these galleries. They were called galleries, and they just had all of my artwork and prints, but they had all these little pieces of art with inspirational thoughts. And then other people would come in, and they'd say, oh, I'd like to have this little happy store in my town. And so my husband, who created the original Hallmark card shops, he designed a way for people to have these little stores in their place. And so it grew to all these other stores, these other happy galleries, Sally Huss galleries. And so it was a lot. And then in the midst of that, in the beautiful one we had in La Quinta that we owned, the editor of the Palm Springs or the Desert Sun. It was called the Desert Sun newspaper. He came in. He said, "I just love these little thoughts that you have and these things." She said, "Would you like to put them in the newspaper?" And I said, "Sure." So I had little pieces of art to go with them. So we started out like that, and they were so well received. And so then somebody said to me, "Why don't you contact one of the syndicators?" And there are just two, and so I picked King's Features, and I found that there was a salesman in the Carlsbad area. So I called him, and I told him what I had, and he said, "Send it to me." And so I sent him a handful of these things, and he immediately sent them to New York. And they said, we want to do this, and we're not even going to test it. And so they started putting those panels in newspapers around the country. And I wrote, it was a daily, so they were 6 days a week, and it ran for 12 years.
Oh, my gosh.
So that was just something on top of the other stuff. And the other thing was that with having a gallery like that, displaying art, and it was all happy art, it was bright colors and really fun things and a lot of things for children. The different operations would come in. I mean, American Greetings came in. I did a line of greeting cards for them, and I did wallpaper, and I did clothing, and I did designs, tons of designs for purses, and baby bibs, 100 designs for baby bibs, and I did all that licensing. And then 9/11 hit, and all these little galleries all around the country. There was one in Switzerland, another one in Japan and Tokyo, and so they started closing because retail just dried up after 9/11. So they all closed, and that's when my husband turned to me and said, "Now what are we going to do?" And I said,
"Now you still had your galleries at that time, right?"
What? What did you say?
You still had your galleries at that time?
Well, no. All the galleries were closing down one by one, and so they were shutting down because of retail died. And so he said, what are we going to do? And I said, "We're going to do children's books." There was always a dream that came forward that told me what the next thing to do was. So I followed them, and I started doing children's books. And at that point, we sold our home, sold everything, and I lived at a friend's ranch in Fallbrook, California, on an art ranch, and he gave us a little cabin, no running water and nothing, and it was just heaven, to not have any weight on me to perform or to do anything. And so that's when I could really focus on doing children's books. What does a child need? And I could write a little story and put it in rhyme, and then I taught myself how to illustrate right on the computer, and that's how we got going with children's books. So anyway, did that for a long time. So anyway, that's
amazing. And then some of the books I thought were neat. Hands Can Change the World. That was one of them. Also, the military separation from a parent who's deployed. All of the topics of the books are in so need for that child to learn. So, I mean, the way your mind works, Sally, it's just like creativity on speed.
Well, when we had the galleries, that was really something. Yeah, I could create a book and put it and publish it. Self-publish it, of course. I could write it and illustrate it and publish it in a week. So I really did a lot of that in the beginning, and then I got honed. And it's the same way with what I paint and the way I paint. The idea in painting, so many people who want to learn to paint they labor over a piece instead of doing another one. And that's what I did, is that I would paint something and I didn't correct anything. I just moved on and did another painting. And the same way with the books. I learned by doing more, not by laboring over an existing book. And so...
and when you look back at some of, even the paintings, when you look back, are you happy with what you did? You know how, you could, as you're saying, you could spend time on that one project, but by going from one project or one painting to the next, looking back on the ones that you moved forward right away, are you happy when you view them that they captured what you had in mind?
Well, I just did them. I didn't think too much. Just did them. And I'm starting to paint again now. Because I have this YouTube channel, and I have my little dog is a little micro bully, kind of like French. He's so cute, and he and I we put up the Happy Musings. We had all of this content, but didn't know what to do with it. And people are enjoying the Happy Musings that we're putting up every day. We put them up, we talk about it just for a second, and here's a thought, and so Bub and I, do that. So now I'm doing some art in the same way, a little bit here and there, and I'll put those in, and I came across some other cartoon things that I did, and so we'll start adding those to the channel, and the channel leads anyone who would be interested in any of the things to my website, and that's how it goes. So I'm always changing and trying new things, and so
you're full of creativity. So so now with you're back to blogging. I was reading that. You stopped blogging for a while, but then you saw the value of blogging, so you're back in the swing of that, correct?
Well, I did a bit of that, and then I started putting up the Happy Musings, and I'm putting those up on the website, but I'm putting them up on the channel as well. And it's really nice when you get a comment from somebody. I really needed to hear this today, that kind of thing,
Yes.
I say, great. Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about what, with AI and, you're back in the day, obviously there weren't any cell phones. I mean, when I think back 75 years ago, it was, the color commercials or color TV, with CBS. That was one of the first ones. And so you've seen that. You've lived that. And now with AI and all AI is, well, anyway, it has its place. It has its place, but being a creative person as you are, an artist, how do you feel about AI in that respect?
Well, somebody turned me on to the beginning with chat and stuff. And so, and Claude and one thing and another. And what it's helped me is certainly not in creating anything, but knowing how to connect with my grandparents and parents who would like what I have, my offerings, as you say, but to see, because I don't have a publicity group or this group or that group. It's just it's a one-woman thing, you know. And so getting advice, and it's always they seem to be amazed at the amount of content I have, which is wonderful. And I've never used it and never known what to do with these things. But by putting the Happy Musings out there for people, and they're just wonderful little thoughts with a little piece of art. Every tick of the heart is a blessing. Things like that.
Yes.
And you
And
put that
people
up.
each person, regardless of what's happening in their lives or in the world, they connect with those. You have your innate intuition, your soul, your love, all of the things that we've been created as, and so it ignites those pieces. It ignites compassion. It ignites empathy, and I love that you're touching upon that, or you're hitting everybody right where they need to be, so that they make a difference in their lives, so that they teach their own kids, they teach their grandkids about kindness, love, and compassion. So you must.
It's fine. I know one of the very wise people that came into my gallery, my friend Therese Boney, and she looked at, I had done some things for American Greetings. I had one of those thought-a-day calendars. They took these musings and converted them into that. And she looked at it, and it said, I think the line was, make your goals crystal clear, and clearly they will become crystallized. And she looked at it, and she said, that's not correct. You must realize you're dealing with the truth, and you must be the truth. So I changed that, and it became, make your goals crystal clear, and clearly they will be crystallized, provided life doesn't have something better in mind. And that's the truth of it. When things don't work out that you have in mind all the time, because we do a lot of, there's a lot of things about how you make something happen, you manifest in this sort of way. But if life has something better for you, then the door will be closed, but it's, so you don't have to keep knocking and knocking and knocking on the same door.
That's a very good point. Yes, that's a wisdom for sure, Sally. Well, we have to take our last break, so hold that thought, and we'll be back, everyone, more with Sally Huss and her 100 books. It's just, wow, mind-blowing. We'll be back.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times best-selling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back, and again, go to sallyhuss.com. Huss is H-U-S-S. Sally is just as it sounds, sallyhuss.com. Check out her YouTube. You can just Google, once you're on there, The Happy Artist and connect with there. And then just peruse all her books. There's something, if you're there listening and you're a parent and there's, something that you're going through, I am confident that there is a book that Sally has written that will help your situation. So check that out. And Sally, I wanted to ask you about how you've stayed healthy and bright and thriving. I read that you are, a vegan, a vegetarian diet. Tell us how you have thrived, because there are some people that are couch potatoes at 65.
Let alone 86. Yeah, well, I had been a vegetarian for 50, 60 years, and I got a little bit weak in my later years, and I had to eat some meat, which I don't like to do. So it's been a kind of a conflict, and I keep asking, okay, do I have to eat any more? Can I just give it up again? But it's not as easy here in where I live in Colorado Springs, because I can't get fish. They can't get fresh fish. And I was very happy to have fish, but I do, I was, I knew a hidden master in California, and he always said, the best food is an egg, because it has everything to create an entire being, including feathers.
Yes.
So he always recommended 2 eggs a day, which is what I do. I eat 2 eggs a day and a variety of organic food, a lot of green things. And, I try to stay more alkaline. Now, I did get shingles a while back, about a month or so ago, and that was a disaster, because somebody said, well, didn't you take the shot, and I said, oh, is there a vaccine, and that's the same way when I was in Africa, when I got sick in Africa, and somebody said, well, didn't you take the anti-malaria pills? And I said, what anti-malaria pills? And that was it, but I survived it all, and we go up and down a little bit here and there. But I, play a little pickleball still, and I enjoy that. And I'm doing yoga 3 days a week with my niece. Yeah, so I do that, and I take my little Bubba for a walk now and then. And that's how I stay pretty fit. Fit. Yeah.
I agree with you on the eggs. I think that they're like a whole, I know that some people don't, and I understand that and honor it. But for me, an egg can sustain you in such a way. And so I agree. But organic is the way to go. And I know everything is so expensive, but I think on the other end of the spectrum, you save money especially with your family, you save money because you're not taking the kids to the doctors all the time.
No.
So that's how you can, you can trade it off. And I also know that organic still has some traces of chemicals, but if you are, if you want to stay healthy and your mind work well, organic and a lot of greens really make a difference. And staying away from sugar things. I mean, things with other. Do you have sweet things, but using like date sugar or coconut sugar versus,
well, I'm kind of my systems are kind of sensitive, at least now after the shingle thing, but and so I have to be careful with sweet because it will go immediately to the joints and create arthritis. So I have to be careful and try to keep my body more alkaline. And I did a really cute book. I was told in a dream to do a book on diet or weight management. And so I did this book called Chew, Baby Chew. And it referenced all the history of different diets. Not very much, not very long, but it gives reference to these diets, that all kinds of things that people dreamed up to do, the cookie diet and the when they gave women tapeworm that would eat the food, and just disastrous things. But and I talked about eat right for your blood type, which I think is really helpful certainly for A blood people like myself. And so that was helpful. And I talked about that and the importance, I don't know if you ever heard of Horace Fletcher, to Fletcherize your food. And that was a certain fad, but a time, but very knowledgeable about the fact that all the essence happens in your mouth, and you want to chew the food until you drink it, and then you have so you get all the nourishment, and the body doesn't have to work so hard breaking down.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Solid food. So anyway, so that's a fun book. And then I did my book, on how to find your soulmate and that, and a lot, kind of a few different books on different things.
And what's the name of that? The Find Your Mate book. The one
how to find your soulmate. How to find your soulmate. Yeah.
I think there are so many single women. We have in our family so many single women. So that would be that category. I'm actually visualizing for a few of my nieces so they may find their
you can think about the numbers and the this and the that may be thrown out there that makes people afraid that they won't find somebody or all that, and just write it down. I created a sun letter and put what I wanted in a letter to the sun. The sun's very powerful and knowing. And put it there, and I think about that and thought about our life together and this and that. And as soon as and in that, the secret of that is to be in love with that person before you ever meet him. So that's in the book. Be in love with the person before you ever meet him. And then when I did meet him, before that, I had all these people coming forward because I was already in love. I was in love, and so I was attracting these different men who were quite sure I was the one, and I would look at my sun letter and say, no, this doesn't fit. And so then finally, when I was on the court with Marvin Huss, and there was a big blue light behind him, and I said, that's the one. That's the
one. With listening to you, one of the main things that I'm taking away, and for the listeners as well, is you're listening. However busy you are, you are listening to the messages that are presented to you, the ideas, the dreams that you're having. You are listening and then implementing from there. And that is powerful, as you probably well know, living through it. But for those that may be questioning, listening to, I mean, if we're so crazy busy in our minds, because as you know, the mind creates or destroys things, or ends things, if we're listening to the real messages, it can change your whole life. You know, it can change your whole direction. And then you have to be brave enough to go in that direction. And you have. So there's only a few minutes left, but I wanted to have you share, what would you like to share these last few minutes with the listeners? What do you want to leave them with?
Oh, my. That's a big assignment. I don't know. I just think that people, if they knew how wonderful they were, they really are. If they knew the talents and the abilities that they have within themselves and the content, you know, appreciating themselves so much, they would be happier. No matter the circumstances are insignificant. It's how you look at them, how you look at everything, you know. What is this lesson here? What is the story here? What am I learning? You know, what is so beautiful about this day, you know? And constantly be positive. It's so important to vibrate at a higher level. It's what you attract, and that's, you know, our society is kind of rummaging around in the basement, you know, and we need to raise it up. And so anything that will lift your, you know, a thought, you know, make it up, write something down that, you know, and you know, thank yourself for listening, and thank yourself for anything you do and making the effort. Teach children how to work. That's an important thing. How to work. That working is very important. That's what we're here doing, working in all sorts of ways. I have this little thing that I have, little painting that I have here. Just be kinder than necessary. I mean, what a great thought, you know? Be kinder than necessary. You know, there you go.
Yeah. Yes, well, that was beautiful, every word you said, and it's been a joy to have you, and just in awe of all that you have accomplished. And yet what we're saying is you listened and you just went right to, you know, just went forward and made it all happen. And it's work, yes, and it takes time, but look at all the opportunities that have been placed for you, and you have turned them into gold only because you believed in it and you implemented it and did the work. And your artistic ability obviously is shining. So I'm just so impressed, and I'm so glad that we got connected. And I'm honored to have you on the show. So thank you, Sally, for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it and appreciate your audience. Thank you.
Welcome, and we'll be in touch. So everyone out there, share the show, listen to it again, get inspired, and share the inspiration not only to yourself but others. And until the next time we come together in love and unity consciousness and growing our souls, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. all designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.